Luka Dončić is the worst defensive star that we've seen in the modern era of basketball. Period.
That's how it started.
No offense creation. Alley-oop, counted on a foul.
Last night, I was expecting Wemby to be the best defensive player on the floor. That happened to be Luca. 5 steals, 2 blocks. Luka Dončić, all over the place, making the impact.
This is the reality. Luka Dončić isn't supposed to defend like this. He isn't supposed to move like this. And he sure as hell isn't supposed to outplay Victor Wembanyama on the defensive end. And right now, it's happening in a way the league can't ignore. Dallas didn't realize it at the time, but the moment they moved on from Luka, the floor of the Western Conference shifted. Because the second Luka stepped into real infrastructure with a real offensive architect and teammates he handpicked, he became something Dallas never imagined he could be, the engine of an entire offense. He's now generating 57 points a night through his scoring and creation. More offense by himself than the full second units of Detroit and Sacramento combined. Dallas didn't trade a player, they traded an ecosystem. And the flaws they used to justify it, Los Angeles erased them immediately. He wasn't hard to build around, he just needed a front office that actually listened. So he recruited DeAndre Ayton, he recruited Marcus Smart, and for the first time in his career, the roster was shaped around what he does best. Look at the fallout. Since the trade, the Lakers are 8-3 with a top 10 offense, and Luka is driving a system built to maximize every possession. Dallas, meanwhile, is still digging for answers, and the team that thought it was escaping a problem accidentally created one. The moment Luka walked into that facility, everything changed. JJ Redick didn't inherit a star, he inherited the most complete weapon in basketball, and he built the structure around him immediately. So every 40-point triple-double Luka drops now isn't a shock, it's exactly what happens when you give a generational engine a machine built to keep up. Dallas didn't just give up a superstar, they gave him the support system he'd been missing for years, and Los Angeles didn't hesitate to put it to work. But the system isn't the only thing that changed. Luka did too, long before the season tipped off. At 26, instead of doubling down on his old habits, he rebuilt himself from the ground up. 18 pounds gone. Body fat from 14% down to 8.5%. A frame reshaped for speed, not bulk. His trainer, Javier Barrio, put it simply. We stopped trying to make him stronger, we started trying to make him faster. And the results showed up before he even returned to Los Angeles. Eurobasket 2025 was the warning shot. He led the entire tournament in steals at 3.2 per game, led Slovenia in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks, earned an All-Star 5 selection with a Best Defender nomination, and said he felt way less tired than he did in years. The work reshaped what was possible, and the right system finally gave that possibility a framework. And once those two things aligned, everything the league thought it knew about workload and efficiency stopped applying to Luka Dončić. Every era has its rulebook, and the biggest one is simple. The more you do, the less efficient you get. Every analytics department lives by it. The law of diminishing returns. Usage goes up, true shooting goes down, even the great ones bleed efficiency. And Luka used to bleed like everyone else. In Dallas, whenever his usage climbed into the mid-30s and 36, sometimes 37%, his efficiency dipped with it. Even last season in Los Angeles, when his workload fell to 33.8%, his true shooting was 58.7%. Great, but still inside the rule. This season, he broke it. Usage rate, 38.5%, the highest of his career. True shooting, 62.8%, also the highest. More responsibility than ever, more scoring efficiency than ever. Nobody has ever done that. Not Harden in 2019, not Jordan in '88. Luka is above both while touching the ball on nearly 3 of every 4 possessions. His offensive load, 72.6%, the highest ever recorded. Higher than Harden, higher than Westbrook, higher than anything he ever carried in Dallas.
Smart's open. Smart hits it.
And here's the part the box score can't show you. The Lakers didn't overhaul Luka. They overhauled the environment around him. Under JJ Redick, the Lakers dropped from a top 10 pace to 21st, precision over pace. Defenses were forced to solve Luca instead of the other way around. Spacing tightened, timing sharpened, weak side action synced to a clear rhythm. And the 5-out structure created leverage before Luca even initiated the play. In Dallas, he held the ball for 8.8 seconds a touch, forced to manufacture every advantage himself. In Los Angeles, the read is already there. His touch time falls to 6.1 seconds, nearly 3 full seconds gone. Dallas made him create every edge, 48% pick and rolls, constant blitzes, forced pull-ups with the clock dying. Los Angeles reshaped the geometry. Redick's spacing and timing built the advantage first. Luca simply selects the outcome, and the impact carries through every possession. His pick and rolls jump from 0.92 to 1.18 points per possession. His isolations rise to 28%, not because he's forcing them, but because the floor finally creates the openings those plays require. And the backbone of all of it is a simple trio: Luka Dončić, Austin Reaves, and DeAndre Ayton. It's the Lakers' most efficient 3-man group. Reaves jumps to 22, 5, and 5 on elite splits. Ayton's screens create clear 4-on-3s. For the first time in Luka's career, the system provides the advantage, and he exploits it.
He's now 3 of 7 from three-point range. Came into the game shooting 29%, bad pass. And that's another steal for Dončić. Alley-oop to Ayton.
And that's where the final numbers stop sounding real. He's generating offense at a rate in the 99.9th percentile of all seasons ever recorded from any player in any era. Top 3 ever, normalized per 100 possessions. That's the rule breaker. A workload that should destroy efficiency, creating it instead. A superstar once forced to generate every advantage, now thriving inside a system that generates them for him. Even with Luka finally settled in Los Angeles, the 2025-26 season opened in chaos. LeBron James, his childhood idol and now his teammate, was sidelined with sciatica. From opening night on, the Lakers were Luka's to run. And he answered immediately. Opening night, 43 on Golden State. Game 2, 49 on Minnesota's number 2 defense. 92 points in 2 games, the most ever by a Laker to start a season, passing Jerry West in 1969 and vaulting him past Michael Jordan for 4th all time. After a brief absence, he returned and kept climbing, 200 points in his first 5 games, averaging 40, 11, and 9 on 50% shooting, the first player in history to open a season at 45 and 5. His scoring was only part of the surge. The entire offense lifted with him. When he's on the floor, the Lakers' 3-point volume jumps 6% and the spacing finally looks like a real system. When he sits, the spacing evaporates and the offense drops into bottom-tier efficiency.
7 to go, and they trap him. Vincent, knocked away inside, swiped by Edwards. It's loose. Dončić in.
Through 10 games, Luka matched Wilt Chamberlain's 37.1 points per game, but Wilt did it in the fastest pace era the league has ever seen. Adjusted to today, Wilt falls to 30.5. Luka stays at 37.1. He isn't matching history, he's rewriting it. This wasn't a hot start, this was a warning. For years, Luka Dončić was supposed to be the target, the weak link, the mismatch you hunted until you got the bucket you wanted. That was the book. Not anymore. Last postseason, he defended more isolations than anyone in the league and held scorers to 0.66 points per possession. This season, on the 4th most ISO reps, he's allowing 0.76 points per possession. Elite numbers for any defender, let alone the offensive centerpiece of an NBA team. When he's the primary defender, opponents shot 39.1%, all defensive territory. And he's grabbing a 31.1% defensive rebounding rate, production you'd expect from a big man, not a heliocentric forward guard. And then came the game that exposed how outdated the old scouting report really was, November 5th in San Antonio. Luka put up 35 points, 13 assists, 9 rebounds, 5 steals, and 2 blocks, and on the two biggest possessions of the game, he locked down Victor Wembanyama one-on-one. The league's most intimidating interior presence couldn't get past the player pundits once labeled the worst defensive star of the modern era.
Wembanyama struck first, as he made it clear that the Lakers were in for a long night on the board.
Wembanyama called him impossible to move. Marcus Smart heard the numbers and just shook his head. He's not just an offensive player anymore, he's a two-way player. Luca used to overwhelm teams with offense alone. Now, he pressures them on both ends, cutting angles, closing space, forcing mistakes, and doing it without sacrificing the offensive load he carries. Luca didn't transform into a vacuum, he escaped the version of himself that had to solve every possession alone. In Dallas, every advantage started from scratch. Every read, every rotation, every bailout. It wasn't just inefficient, it was exhausting. Every trip down the floor felt like he had to create something out of nothing. Los Angeles flipped the equation. JJ Redick didn't ask Luca to reinvent himself. He built a system that finally matched the way Luca processes the game. For the first time in his career, he isn't operating inside chaos, he's operating inside structure. And that structure gives him the one resource he's never had: time. Time to see the second rotation, time to manipulate help, time to get off the ball and get it back with the defense already behind the play. He's no longer dribbling through problems, he's processing solutions. When you stop burning energy just to start a possession, you have far more left for everything else, including the end of the floor people swore he couldn't impact. That's the shift. Not less responsibility, but a system that finally lets him carry all of it without breaking. When a player stops burning energy just to start a possession, everything that used to work against him stops working at all. And that's exactly where the league now finds itself. Every defense in the NBA begins with the same checklist: trap the star, speed up the game, make him work. For years, that was the Luka Dončić blueprint. Not anymore. Because this version of Luka doesn't just navigate overages, he renders them useless. You can't trap him. Pressure doesn't slow the Lakers. It stretches the floor before the help even commits. The very thing designed to disrupt him now accelerates the offense. Hunting him doesn't work either. The matchups teams trusted for years don't hold up anymore. The old scouting report wasn't wrong, it's just obsolete. Collapsing the paint creates a different problem. Crowd him early and he weaponizes the rotation. Stay home and you give him the space he wants to get downhill. Either way, the possession tilts in his favor. And pace can't be used against him now. The Lakers dictate tempo on his terms, and the team trying to chase him fades first. And there's no such thing as a favorable matchup. No wing, no scheme, no personal grouping survives the assignment. There isn't a best defender to throw at him, only different versions of losing the same battle. That's the real problem for the league. Luka didn't just patch the weaknesses people mocked, he erased every counter teams were supposed to have. For years, Luka Dončić was framed as the star who needed fixing. Too slow, too tired, too exploitable. A project with a ceiling. A flaw you circled in red ink on the scouting report. But he's not the project anymore, he's the problem. Because the league didn't prepare for this version of him. The one who bends pace, breaks efficiency rules, erases mismatches, and punishes every coverage you were taught to trust. They prepared for the Luka who had to do everything, not the one who finally doesn't. And once a player like that emerges, there's no going back. If you're into videos like this, tap subscribe and weigh in. Can anyone stop this version of Luka Dončić?